Hello, and welcome to my first boss ranking for the Soulsborne series. Now, I chose Dark Souls 3 for a couple reasons. One, it's my favorite of the trilogy, and two, I think it has the highest quality bosses. This will become very ironic later on, but we'll get there. Note, most of the footage is from New Game Plus 2, so results may vary. There are only 3 bosses where the footage was taken from New Game Plus 1, and I'll put a card at the bottom when it's the case. Also, a lot of the footage was captured out of order. For example, I fought all the bosses leading up to the Twin Princes after Vort. Alright, with that out of the way, let's just get into it. Get this, you do a plunge attack, and you win. Alright, let's move on. Before I rail on these guys too hard, I'll give them one thing. The atmosphere is great. The music, along with the sound effects, gives me chills every time. But also, I'm not 99% certain, but I'm pretty sure they reused the cleric beast screech in this fight, and ironically enough, it won't be the last time a Bloodborne soundbite gets reused either. The aim of this fight is to kill whichever deacon is glowing until half health when the Pope comes out. Hmm. Anyways, this fight is so easy because the deacons don't really put up a fight. Now, there is an insta-kill curse attack if you take too long, but as long as you're not using, like, a fucking broken straight sword, you'll be fine. Yorm is more of a spectacle fight than a fight. You run over to old Yormy's throne and grab the Storm Ruler, and then the fight's pretty much over. Now, you could spend 30 minutes smacking his ankle till he's fallen
And
over
I
and can't get
can't
up,
get it.
but that sounds absolutely fucking miserable, so if it's all alright with you, I didn't do that. Now, he does do high damage if you get hit, but his attacks are so heavily telegraphed that a kid with no hands using one of those special needs controllers could dodge them in time. If you do Onion Bro's quest, he'll join you in this fight. And you totally should do his quest. Come on, let's do it for Onion Bro. Smack the bracelets and send this bitch back to the depths where he belongs. Get this. You smack the pus boils, and you win.
What?
No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
Finally, we have the tutorial boss. He's not hard, but of the tutorial bosses, he's easily the best. His attacks are well telegraphed, and you can't hang out behind his ass or in between his legs. Now, in his second phase, it takes a dip in quality because you can do what I just described you couldn't do in his first phase. Udex Gundyr is a quality first boss, and his lore is pretty cool too. A boss so unremarkable it becomes a regular enemy later on. Just smack away at it till you do. Wait a minute, cut that out, cut that out. Anyways, yeah, smack away at it and you win. Good job. Vort is the first true boss of Dark Souls 3, and in saying that, he's only slightly harder than Udex Gundyr. Type 2 diabetes has affected his life in the fact that he has fallen victim to the age old just sit underneath him till he dies. In his second phase, he gets some new frostbite attacks, I guess, and a sick little charge. Here's a tip for the 1% of people struggling with this charge. Delay your dodge ever so slightly, and the big oaf will dart right over you. Smack at his ass while he's doing his frost breath attack, and you're golden. The only thing getting devoured here is my dick in his ass. Whoa, guys, I totally don't know what came over me. That was pretty crazy. Let's move on. This pilot sludge's main weakness is again just sitting and smacking at their ass. Most of his attacks will just glide right over you, rendering them of any little actual harm. Now, in his second phase, the only attack you have to keep note of is this arrow attack. It will home in on your location, but as long as you keep running and avoiding the occasional homing darts, you'll be fine. Rinse and repeat until he's dead. Easy peasy. These guys unfortunately suffer from Morgott syndrome, where if you have a relatively upgraded weapon, you'll blitz right through these guys. That doesn't stop them from easily being the second best Lord of Cinderfight, though. These guys are notorious LARPers through and through, and it's said when they suspected the Abyss to be kicking around, they would burn entire cities to the ground. Just put this guy out of his misery.
He's had enough.
The only thing noteworthy about the Dancer of the Boreal Valley is how much fucking porn there is.
What's going on? There's so much porn!
I can see how people think she's hard because of her semi-sporadic moveset, but in her first phase, you can just circle around her and occasionally dodge her grab or slice attacks. And her second phase open can be completely cheesed if you just stand behind a pillar. No, she's definitely more challenging than I'm giving her credit for. Like, if you fight her right after Vort, she can walk the floor with you, but it's definitely worth fighting her after Vort because that opens up a ton of Titanite shard farming.
Bro is obsessed with dragons and his dear little ocelot. This imaginary child, well, technically there is a kid there. However, it was cut because he fucking smashes it into the ground. And FromSoft thought that would be too graphic. Stick close to his cock and whack away and you win. This boss is great. Fluid attacks, great soundtrack, and a decent challenge for a late game boss. Pro tip, halfway through the fight he does a fake out stagger. Yeah, don't get hit by that. The second phase is the same except he's more aggressive. Now where have I heard that before? He has lightning attacks and those like weird dragon butterfly things start shooting fucking lasers at you. Avoid that shit and you're golden. One's a cripple, the other a 4chan user. The Twin Princes at one time were considered one of the hardest bosses in Dark Souls 3, but in the year 2025, that just doesn't hold up. Most of Lorian's attacks will just fucking whiff past you entirely if your position is correct, and for the teleporting attacks, the camera will turn to wherever he is if you're locked on, so just dodge preemptively and you'll avoid all his attacks. Now, in the second phase, Lather comes down and uses the power of 4chan to hurl some hard-hitting insults like dogged contender and saying we remain among the accursed. Like, geez man, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? Actually, he probably kisses his brother with that mouth. Anyways, circle around Lorien to hit Lothric and put that Redditor where he belongs. He's back. This is a repeat fight, and those are seen as, like, sinful in Soulsborne boss design. But this is an example of it doing it right, in my opinion. His first phase is pretty much almost the exact same as his first phase when he's the tutorial boss, just without that weird fucking symbiote hanging off his back. But in his second phase, all hell breaks loose. He is now hyper aggressive in his second phase, and is determined to not let you heal. Most of his attacks now come with a follow-up kick or shoulder ram, and he now has this sick charge that he'll do occasionally, and you'll definitely not be able to dodge it until you learn it. Fun fight overall. Lore's cool too. Hey, I said that already. And here we are, the final boss of Dark Souls 3. Now, you might be thinking, kind of early for the final boss, don't you think? And honestly, not really. He's certainly harder than Gwyn and Aldia, but he's certainly not the hardest fight in the base game. Now, I don't think there's really anything worth pointing out with this guy difficulty-wise, so I'm just going to rave about why this guy's so cool as the fight plays out. The Soul of Cinder is a culmination of every being to have linked the First Flame. That includes your character from Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and yes, Gwyn. In his second phase, it's like the soul of Gwyn takes over and he starts fighting as Gwyn would. Not only that, Gwyn's theme even takes over. Bro really said, "Fine, I'll do it myself." This is a great final boss, and probably the best final boss in the series. Rest easy, King. Fun fact, this guy was supposed to be the final boss. This guy's the boss of the Boreal Valley, probably the best area in the game, and he ascended to the title of Pontiff by cutting a deal with Aldrich. Once Gwendolyn was forced to retire, he fed him to Aldrich, thus giving him and Aldrich complete control over his Boreal Valley and Anor Londo. He has a lot of quick swipes, but unlike Elden Ring, they're well telegraphed and not bullshit, beast clergymen. In his second phase, he summons a spectral form that mimics his moves. So if you don't mind dodging 2 waves of attacks, the information given is very valuable. He's a great boss, and in my opinion, probably the second hardest boss in the base game, but pales in comparison to the number 1 spot. Here we are, the OG boogeyman of Dark Souls 3. Nameless King walks so Millennia could spin haphazardly. His first phase is simple: kill the dragon by hitting its head, move on, potato potato. His second phase is where things get a little tricky. Well, not really, but you'll see. Back in the day, nobody really knew how to deal with his delayed attacks because, well, people were used to just bosses swinging and you would dodge right. You know, it was easier to dodge reactionary than whatever the Elden Ring fucking did. But now that Elden Ring has been released, he just kind of feels like an easier Elden Ring boss. Sure, he does a lot of damage, and he does have 2 attacks that I can't get the timing of. His lightning slam and his normal lightning attack. Other than that, he's not too bad anymore, but still easily the hardest boss in the base game for sure. Alright, I hope you liked the video. I will make one for the DLC bosses. However, that one's going to be much shorter because I'm excluding Half-Light and Gravetender. And also, I'm aware some of these spots are probably terrible. Not everyone's going to gel with them. And that's fine, though. I mean, yeah. Alright, pause. My dumbass never mentions it, so here we go. I imagine it'll make some people mad where I do the bit where I'm like, get this, and then I basically brush over the boss. That's because those bosses I don't think are worth talking about. And bosses like Abyss Watchers, I think are a decent challenge and are a fun, early, boss. This part is not scripted. You can probably tell. Yeah. So, hope you enjoyed. Bye. On their games, like Civi's Drugstore and Postal 4.
Shake a leg.
No.
How's it going? Dance, Bone Daddy.
Speaking of Postal 4, while seen as a downgrade in many ways,